Having tried and failed 2 times before, Prime Minister Keith Rowley seems intent on having a third go at his failed strategy of hiring persons to do an investigation, paying them well, and then coincidentally, you can see these reports may end up leaked to a specific media house come Sunday with a full-page splash of lies. But this one, however, now includes the plan to use parliamentary cover to hide in an act of cowardice. I dare you, Keith Rowley, your name man, if this report is so disturbing, then do not be a coward and hide in Parliament to discredit others, as you did with your failed email-gate attempt. Come out in the open and say it. I dare you. The hypocrisy is also alarming. Politicians hiring civilians with no law enforcement authority, submitting a report, and this is disturbing to read, and he wants action taken. But hear this. When Special Branch, which is a bona fide law enforcement agency, submits a report on one of his own, he runs to say that this is not evidence and fact, and he will ignore it. In a recent press conference, when he scolded the media if they even mentioned my name, and if he was unable to answer any questions, he said he was a geologist. This is the same Keith Rowley who said he received a report into FUL licenses by persons that his own government handpicked. This being his third attempt, as I said, and that he was sending it to the Police Service Commission. The first and most pressing question must be asked: why the Police Service Commission and not the DPP or even the PCA, since the Police Service Commission has no investigative powers but the DPP has? Is this in response to my reapplication for the post of Commissioner of Police? Is this another attempt by the sitting Prime Minister to influence a Police Service Commission? Fair questions given the antics the Prime Minister displayed with regards to the last merit list, running to the President's house and treating it like a post office. Another question that needs to be asked is, why is it that FUL licenses are the only thing allegedly disturbing this Prime Minister? So he isn't concerned by the hundreds of officers charged and suspended for violent crime before, during, and after my term as Commissioner of Police? 100% of all murders through the use of firearms in the last 4 years in this country have been through illegal firearms. But thanks to politicians, more police manpower and resources have been used on law-abiding citizens acquiring firearms than to stop illegal firearms from entering the country. Not a single crime has been committed with illegal firearms. So why is this Prime Minister so focused on that and not the real areas of escalating crime? You know, it gives the perception of ensuring that a certain person not being appointed as police commissioner is more relevant to some politicians than the safety of our citizens. Given the lesson that was laid before the Prime Minister with the handling of the previous merit list, which not only stopped my return as Commissioner of Police, but several others who were also shortlisted, and McDonald Jacob then became imposed on the country as head of the police service, which we have seen crime now spread out of control, one would have thought that Prime Minister Rowley would have learnt his lesson. He has not. This is typical of the playbook used by certain politicians, which is ready to self-appoint persons who you handpick, pay them handsomely, upon which these politically paid reports can then be false, misleading, and biased. And then it is conveniently linked to the Ray or the Wren, who will then put it, as I said, on a Sunday front page, as if the report was from some bona fide law enforcement agency. The nation is bored with these cheap political stunts. It is not working. The fact is that politicians hiring persons to do investigations mean that the paper the reports are written on is more valuable than the report itself. And that is the first sign of dictatorship in our country, when it is that people are trying to take charge of investigations. The evidence was clear, and it was not one person has been charged in direct relation to the findings in the Barrington report, the Stanley John report, and now this latest so-called audit report. Additionally, any report into FUL licenses will be incomplete if it does not contain the harassment by senior government officials to a previous Commissioner of Police to issue firearm licenses to them, or to issue explosive licenses to their friends, and special ammunition, and even a senior government minister acquiring 2 rifles with 5.56 ammunition in quick time and never paid the firearm dealer for several months. But I'm sure that will not be in the audit report, which shows how biased the report is. To be clear, Trinidad and Tobago, there are 2 reasons for me reapplying for the post of Commissioner of Police. Firstly, it is about answering the overwhelming call by citizens, with every poll having over 87% asked me to reapply, as they were able to put aside politics. But secondly, it was to expose those who will put their petty political personal agenda over the overwhelming evidence that crime can be controlled using the right technique and the right strategy and the right people. Additionally, as I have noted prior, the Prime Minister is under the misguided perception that the National Security Council has operational and investigative authority. It does not. In fact, it is a politically appointed committee, which means that reports paid for by them and persons contracted by them are irrelevant, and it has no more merit than one done by the opposition or any other organization or individual. It will also be my responsibility to remind some persons that the rumshop talk and the hearsay put in a report that goes to Parliament and not taking it to the DPP, whilst the matter is still being investigated by the police, may now totally compromise any ongoing investigation. I want to end this release by advising certain politicians. Hear this. Do not have others do your dirty work for you. Instead of trying to get independent bodies to sway their decisions in an independent process, allow the process to take place. And if I'm not who you desire to hold office, then do not be a coward. Be a man. Be a man. Stand up and tell the public that you rejected their cries and you made that decision, and you then takes full responsibility for that decision, as the country is seeing right now. If a politician who is a servant to the people and he would refuse to adhere to what is best for the country and ignores what the majority of those people want, then he should stop serving those same citizens, as he has now failed to adhere to his oath in office.